Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hi, and welcome to Remote Possibilities. I am Erin Medley alongside Vicki Hyman. Vicki.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
We have a special guest in studio today. You know we like to bring on guests from time to time.
With special expertise.
Expertise, yes. He is our Office Marvel and Disney expert. Mm-hmm. It's Steve Liebman.
Hello, how are you?
We're well. How are you, Steve?
Doing well today.
Good. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Remote Podcast, at E_meds, at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY, and...
Do you have a Twitter handle?
I have a Twitter handle. It's S Liebman, SLIEBMAN.
That's right. But, okay.
I also I also have a Disney blog, which also deals with Marvel.
Feel free to promote it.
It's at Disney Diary. It's also DisneyDiary.com, so please head there and check it out.
Yes, do it. And follow Disney Diary on Instagram, as I do.
Wow. What's Instagram? I'm kidding.
Oh, gosh. That's scary.
I'm kidding.
I saw a tweet today where someone's like, oh, WhatsApp now allows emojis. And I'm like, really? Do I have to download this WhatsApp thing? And, like, how do people... Head of social here.
I have to ask my son because he has WhatsApp.
Does he?
Yes. And I don't even know what... to communicate with his friends, apparently.
Why can't you text them?
I don't know.
Why can't you call them?
I don't know.
Why don't you just talk face-to-face?
Well, they don't do that anymore.
Oh, my gosh.
They don't do that anymore.
So many things. Let's get into news. This is what I find most fascinating about the news I've read this week.
Okay.
It actually came out today. Rumor Willis is joining the cast of Empire.
Really?
I know. Isn't that weird?
Have you seen Rumor in anything other than, what was that Anna Faris movie, The House Bunny? She was in that, right?
Was she?
I don't know. I have no idea what her acting chops are.
Well, she apparently has starred in episodes of 90210, the reboot, Hawaii Five-0, CSI New York, and Pretty Little Liars.
I guess I'm wrong about The House Bunny.
Well, no, these are her TV credits. So she's been cast as a recurring character, Tori Ash, an acclaimed singer-songwriter. Oh God, we're gonna have to hear her sing. Whose talent becomes integral to Jamal's most important musical project yet, and that was reported by Deadline.
I find that hard to believe. That she could be integral to Jamal's anything.
Anything. Wait, do you watch Empire?
Off and on, I try to keep up. It's in the zeitgeist. It's in the zeitgeist. I must keep up.
Are people still talking about it? I don't watch it anymore. It's just so silly. It's too soapy even for me.
Really?
And
that's pretty soapy.
I mean, I like my lowbrow anything. In other pickup news and cancellation news, we didn't talk about it last week, but the first show to be canceled this season
was not Notorious.
It was
as I predicted. I was so sad.
It was Conviction. The show I actually enjoy.
Which is another ABC show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Monday nights.
Not a good slot for it.
And it's the one starring Haley Atwell, who Steve should know. From
Are you sad?
Agent Carter.
She's Agent Carter. She's also in The Avengers and Captain America.
Yeah. I think she's a great actress.
I think she's a great actress. I'm not... When I saw the previews for that, I wasn't exactly sure that was a great role.
Well...
Or a great idea for a show, but hey.
No, I don't think it's I think it's a perfectly workable idea for a show.
Didn't work.
I thought it was okay. I mean, I think it worked just as well as anything on CBS, which is the home of all the workable procedurals.
If it was on CBS.
Yes, and it probably would have done better.
Probably would have done better.
Doesn't help that it's against like Monday Night Football and stuff, but
and timeless.
Yeah, I think it should have been on Thursday instead of Notorious because I think Notorious is just Shrek.
I'm still watching.
Oh my God.
I'm keeping it afloat. In pickup news, Divorce, Westworld, and Insecure were all picked up for season 2 by HBO. Steve, do you watch Westworld?
I watch Westworld religiously every week.
Do?
You're going to miss our Westworld discussion later.
This is what happens when work gets in the way.
Yeah,
Steve can't stay the whole podcast, but all right, fine. I'm excited that Insecure was picked up. I love that show.
I know, and I keep on meaning it's one of the 7 shows that I've been trying to catch up on.
Watch it.
I did watch one more episode of Divorce, which pretty much convinced me not to watch any more episodes of Divorce.
The fact that you watched Divorce before watching more Insecure makes me sad.
My boss Chris is a huge Divorce fan, and he keeps pressuring me, putting on very untold pressure to watch Divorce and tell me how wrong I am. But no, it is still terrible.
No, he doesn't have good TV taste.
No, he doesn't.
Let's be honest.
No, he doesn't.
All right, don't tell him we said so. In other news, the People's Choice Award nominations came out.
Oh, really?
Normally I wouldn't go into these fake award shows, But they have, I printed them out, and on my paper here, it's like 10 pages of TV nominations.
Yes.
I don't even understand, what does favorite premium actress mean? Is it
I
like
actually don't
cable?
know what that means.
It's like favorite
Does that mean you pay her
premium.
a
I guess
lot?
it means like they're separating between like premium cable and basic cable.
So look, listen. Okay. Favorite premium comedy series. Fuller House. So that's on Netflix.
Okay, you really don't have to say anything more about the People's Choice Awards. Well, no, it is the People's Choice, and Fuller House was very popular among some of the people.
Wait, let me tell you. So Fuller House is in the same category as The Mindy Project, Shameless, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Veep. Veep.
That is bizarre.
Fuller House.
That is bizarre.
How do you even choose
With
between
Shameless
the
in there,
two?
too.
I would actually choose Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. But,
Well, yeah.
It's
No, I would choose Veep.
it's really weird. I don't know what favorite premium series actor. Aziz Ansari, Dwayne Johnson, Joshua Jackson, Kevin Spacey, and Nick Jonas.
Well,
He's
Nick
on that
Jonas is
DirecTV show.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's is this what the people really want?
Well, we've been asking ourselves that for the last week now, haven't we?
I guess we have. Well, speaking of favorite premium sci-fi fantasy series, Luke Cage.
All right.
Made it with Game of Thrones, Outlander, Stranger Things, and Westworld.
That is a very good category.
Yes, it is one of 50.
Yes.
Like, how long is this award show going to be? It could be on for like 4 or 5
We don't even
hours.
cover it. Just to let you know, we don't cover that
It's on
show.
CBS, right?
I have no idea. We
With
don't
all the
cover
other
it.
procedurals on CBS.
Exactly. Favorite new TV. It's just categories upon categories. You can find them all online. But going back to Marvel's Luke Cage, Vicki and I finally finished.
How long did it take you?
I guess it took us a month.
It took a month because I was only watching on weekends, and you were watching like here and there.
I was watching
Throughout
here and
the
there. I mean, I sort of I watched the first 3 episodes, I think, when I got the screeners, and then I took a break, and then it was I kept on going up to Steve. I watched one more episode.
Yeah.
I watched one more episode.
I binged over a weekend.
Did
You
you?
did.
Okay,
I
so
did.
what does that say? Are you invested in the property, or did you like the show?
I was a little
both?
of both. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the first half of the episodes better than the second half of the episodes.
Season.
Agreed.
The season. It was very enjoyable. Good acting. I thought they went. The first half was a lot more structured. You were more invested in the family story. When you get to Luke Cage's family story, you're not that invested with him and Stryker, and I
At
think
all.
and that's the biggest problem you found.
And that is the whole problem with the second half of
Yeah,
the season,
it
which
is.
is that we have this.
Wait.
What?
Spoiler alert for any. I like to give the spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Spoiler alert for anyone who has not watched the entire season of Luke Cage, because there are things that happen like midway through
Yes.
the first season that are shockers. So if you haven't watched, this would be the part where you fast forward. Continue, Vicki.
Okay, so they have Cottonmouth Cornell Stokes, I don't know if it's a drug kingpin, but sort of like an arms kingpin of Harlem. Not really sure exactly what he does.
He's just a king.
He's
just a kingpin, just a crime kingpin.
He's a crime lord.
Yeah.
Crime lord, who runs this really awesome club in Harlem, which I want to go to.
I love the music.
You know, and the music is amazing.
The soundtrack is phenomenal.
The music is amazing. Visually, it's very, very striking. So he's set up to be Luke Cage's nemesis, and then he sort of gets killed halfway through the season by
his cousin.
By his cousin Mariah, played by the great Alfred Woodward, who I was wondering what she was doing for the first half of the season.
So when Vicki first started watching, she's like, Alfred Woodward is being wasted in this role. Like, she doesn't really do anything. And then here comes like episode 5 or 6,
Five or six.
and
That's
then
6.
she pushes him off.
Yeah, they have. The show has amazing character work by both Alfred Woodward and Mahershala Ali. And I love their backstory. The episode where you get their backstory and how Harlem had run by. Is it Mariah's mother? It's a little unclear.
It was his mother. It was his mother. And the great thing about the story is that you have a kid who didn't want to be in drugs. You had a kid who wanted to be a musician, but the family forced him into this life.
Right.
And he accepted it. He reluctantly accepted it, but he owned it, opposed to his cousin, Alfred Woodard, who did not want to own it, who wanted to be this politician. And the dynamic there was very interesting and was very real. Mm-hmm. And you felt sympathy for Cottonmouth. You felt that you wanted him to succeed, even though he was a crime lord. And that's one of the things that Marvel has always done, is create good villains who are real, opposed to Luke Cage's half-brother, which you find out, spoiler alert, sorry,
yes,
that Stryker is his half-brother, and you get that backstory later on. And the two halves, I believe they were trying to match the two, that the two families, how
is that what they were trying to do?
And I just didn't think that worked out enough.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I was a huge fan of Jessica Jones, and what I like most about it is that even though she's a superhero and there was a villain, it was very real, and like you could see the parallels to real life in that story, and I do think that's what Marvel does well, and that's why I like the first half of Luke Cage. But as soon as they introduced Stryker, it just became a pure like comic book story to me, where nothing seemed real, and I didn't buy the backstory of Stryker being Luke's half brother, but him not realizing it, even though they were best friends for like.
And Stryker kept calling him brother.
And he kept calling him brother. And it's like, and
why was he so mad at Luke about his, it was Luke's father's fault. Luke didn't know, or maybe he knew at some subconscious level, but
maybe you know something we don't know.
Well, if you go back to the original comic books, they were not brothers. They were best friends. So I think they probably wrote this, I'm guessing they wrote this in to try to illustrate what happens when you are constantly told you don't care, no one cares about you, mm-hmm. no one loves you, you're insignificant, and then you go to prison and then you just become bad. It doesn't really work for me.
Right.
I think he had to have something inside of him before going in that made him bad, and the idea that he was just ignored and downtrodden doesn't make the good villain. And he wasn't all that bad. He taught Luke how to box.
Right.
They were close friends beforehand. And now you've got a guy who just was on revenge, but revenge for the father. Why revenge for his brother?
Well, revenge for the father also, but, I mean, he got his revenge when he sent Luke to prison. Wasn't that part of the storyline?
Yep. Yeah. Yes, it was.
So it's like, Luke had to go to prison. Yeah, he came out a superhero, but, I mean, you got your revenge, now you're getting more revenge on him?
Revenge
it made no sense.
Luke didn't do anything to him. It just didn't make any sense. And what they didn't do well, and this is a fault that I find in Westworld. I think it's Westworld. I'm getting all my TV shows confused. But, not Westworld. Oh, my gosh. The Walking Dead, mm-hmm. Both have W's, is the same problem I have with Negan, which is I can't have a villain that I can't root for at least a little bit.
Or at least understand his motivations.
Or understand the motivation. And I don't understand Stryker
or have motivations that make sense. Because you understand this guy's motivations, but they're just stupid.
Stryker. Yes, I agree. It didn't make any sense. So for me, the entire second half of Luke Cage was very disappointing.
It was disappointing. I also felt like, all this great character work that they put forth was sort of just betrayed in the last half, not only by, there was like narratively, it was like they had the drug deal gone bad, the weapons deal gone bad, and then Luke Cage decides to, be the man of the streets, and he, takes money from the Christmas addicts. It was like there was just so much stuff going on, and I never really understood how everything fit together.
Right.
It just didn't make much sense, in addition to the, bad villain at the end.
Stryker.
Stryker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diamondback is, yeah.
Diamondback, yeah. So, Steve, here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the scene where Luke gets shot by Diamondback the first time, and the bullet, this is that special bullet, and it penetrates his impenetrable skin. Mm-hmm. I didn't get that.
Okay, so they keep talking about the incident in a few of the episodes, how the incident came to New York. The incident is the first Avengers movie, in which you had the aliens coming down and the Avengers fighting, and alien tech left all around, strewn around the city. And at that point, people started picking up the alien tech and adapting it and trying to do what they could. So they were able to build the bullets through the alien tech, just like Stryker was able to beat up Luke with the special armor that he created.
Yeah.
was from alien tech. So that's a tie-in from the movie. And that's the ability to bring the Marvel comic universe into Netflix without it being overwhelming.
But did you think that worked? I mean, they didn't have that in Daredevil or Jessica Jones, and it's supposed to be street level crime fighters, and it doesn't have all these big. So I'd rather they just didn't do that at all.
Yeah, I mean, in Jessica Jones, you had a person with abilities.
He certainly had abilities. I'm just saying,
I think the idea was, and I'm taking a guess here, is that it's from the city because it was strewn around the city. Mm-hmm. So these are people who just picked up what they could and adapted. So they robbed the alien tech and did what they could because they didn't have any special abilities themselves to do anything. And Luke Cage, one of the issues you have with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, heroes like that, is that they don't have capes. They're out in public, and they're not going to fight the supervillains that the Avengers do or anyone else does.
They're not taking on Loki.
They're not taking on Loki, but you have to create a villain that's strong enough for them. And I think going to the alien tech is another example of Diamondback was not that strong.
Right.
Of a character.
Agreed. They should have kept Cottonmouth. I think that's where they went wrong as soon as he was killed. Which, look, great plot twist. You know, the person you think is the main villain gets killed in the middle of the first season. Got it. Okay, that was good. But then the rest of your season wasn't strong, so what did you really accomplish? Not much, in my opinion.
You did see Mariah do a, Breaking Bad-esque type sort of thing. She comes to embrace the criminal side.
Right.
And I liked her with shades a lot.
Ugh, that kiss will haunt me.
I'm sorry. I loved it. I loved it.
I
loved their sexual tension. I thought Theo Rossi was wonderful. He made the most of this character, which didn't really have a whole lot. He didn't really say a lot. You didn't get a whole lot about his backstory. I'm very interested in this guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
So they clearly set it up for a season 2, but we have no idea when this is coming
I don't know
back.
if they're doing a season 2 of this. I think there's another episode of Jessica Jones. There's another season of Jessica Jones, and then Iron Fist. Well, I don't know if this is in order. And then they're going to the Defenders.
I mean, what you have is Luke Cage and Iron Fist are so intertwined in their comic book history that the characters delve over. So I can actually see in Iron Fist a lot of the characters brought into Luke Cage coming into.
Luke Cage will be like Luke Cage was part of Jessica Jones.
And I can see that because
I was actually surprised they didn't lay any Iron. Did they put any Iron Fist in there?
They mentioned the Iron Fist for some people they're not going to like it at all because it's going to deal with mystical, just like Doctor Strange is the mystical for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just like Ghost Rider is the mystical for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Iron Fist is mystical and deals with a mystical city that arrives every 10 years in the Himalayas, and there's a whole backstory. Like Brigadoon. And Iron Fist gets his power from there. That's where Danny Rand gets his power. But in the comic books, the two of them are intertwined. They actually saved each other for a good 10 years to survive because Luke Cage came around during the blaxploitation era, and then it went down. Iron Fist came down during the big martial arts era, and then the two of them came to one comic book for years. So they have a lot of history together, and Misty Knight's in Iron Fist. So you're going to get a lot of different things going on, and I can see where they continue the issues with Luke Cage into Iron Fist.
Can I just do a shout out to Simone Missick, who plays Misty Knight, who I thought was wonderful.
I loved all the female leads.
And there were so many. And I had this discussion with you, Erin, as a black woman. Like when I would see, I can't remember, Patricia, was that the other police officer, her supervisor? Like seeing two black women, discuss things in a professional setting seemed like
you kind of said to me, you were like, "Well, did that stand out to you?" And I was like, no, for me, it's just kind of like
it was kind of like neat to watch. I'm sorry, I thought it was great.
Well, yes, well, because you're not a black woman, and you're not sitting around having conversations with.
I guess I'm
black women.
Well, I am doing it with you every single week.
That is but that's different. There were little. I had to explain to Vicki what a soror was.
I kind of figured it out.
You did.
I figured it was a sorority
sister. Yes. Or did you see the part where they were like, "We don't ski, we oop oop" or something, and that's like your line call, which it's like there were inside jokes for black people and the show that I really enjoyed. You wouldn't get otherwise. But
did you get soror?
There were a lot of throwbacks, which was very nice to see, and they handled a lot of things from the 70s with a good sense of humor and updated the character.
So you liked that they were winking to the comic books. Like,
you have to.
When they did Luke Cage's backstory, he had this like silver thing, and it ends up being like sort of like a silver like headband or something.
Silver headband.
And I actually had to Google because I'm like, I bet you anything that's what he looked like in the comics, and sure enough,
he did. I mean, this was a character who was created in 71 or 72, and
that's when black men wore silver headbands
by a bunch of by three white guys. So they tried their hardest to try to do what they could for the time period, and then later on, I mean, you had Sweet Christmas, which was
I loved it every time you said it,
which was his trademark at that point when it was first created.
Is that what black men said in the 70s?
I have
still do.
Yeah,
Sweet Christmas, yes, absolutely. So overall, if you had to give it a rating from A to F, where would you put Luke Cage?
Give it a solid B.
Steve?
But I'm sorry, I have to say I gave Jessica Jones like an A or an A+. Okay.
I agree.
I'd give it a B+.
I'd give it a B. It could have been better. It wasn't as good as Jessica Jones, comparatively. All right, well, Steve, thank you for joining us. We will definitely have you back when we need to talk more Marvel or Disney or Westworld. We got to get Steve in on this.
Westworld, sure.
But Westworld will be sooner. Maybe the
That's
finale.
Right. Maybe for the finale. Will you come back?
I would love to come back for the finale.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Steve. And don't forget, follow him at Disney Diaries.
Disney Diary.
Singular. And DisneyDiary.com.
Thank you very much. Had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Steve. Vicki. So we're going to transition from Marvel's Luke Cage to Bravo's Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion part 2.
Steve sure got out of here fast.
Oh, he ran when he realized we were going to be talking about Real Housewives. Okay, so let's jump right into it. We don't want to spend too much time on it because your long national nightmare is over of recapping this nonsense. Your Sundays are back.
I can watch like relaxing shows like The Walking Dead now.
Of course.
In real time.
So relaxing. So this episode kicked off with Teresa backpedaling on her claim from the previous week.
Absolutely backpedaled.
Like, she was backpedaling so fast it was like an episode of the Flintstones. Like, I cannot.
There was dust and dirt kicked up
everywhere.
Andy got something in his eye.
Of course, again. So in the previous episode, she said that Jacqueline and Caroline called the feds. They are the reason she went to jail.
Yes.
This episode, she said, well, they didn't do it. They had their soldiers do it.
They talk to people who talk to people
who talk to people. Now, Chris, Loretta
actually gave us some very interesting perspective that I was like, oh, okay, I could see that happening.
This makes sense.
He said, now he didn't name names.
He did not.
I'm going to assume, and you know what assuming means, but
yes.
Joe had been involved. Joe had a partner whose name was also Joe Masterpole, and they had been in the house flipping business together, and something had gone wrong with their partnership. It had something to do with they were trying to discharge a mortgage, and Joe Giudice had forged Joe Masterpole's name on the mortgage.
No.
Yes, he did. He absolutely did. I mean, I covered this. It went to, it came out in bankruptcy court because Joe Giudice ended up owing Joe Masterpole, I think, money from this mortgage that he forged his name on. And the bankruptcy judge was trying to decide, like, basically who gets money if they win. Who do the Giudices still have to pay back? And Judge Stern, the late Judge Morris Stern of the bankruptcy court, ripped Joe Giudice a new one in his finding that basically Joe Giudice was like unbounded by the rules that govern other people, that he did do this forgery, that he owed Joe Masterpole money. Like, it was really, really harsh. And so anyway, I think what Chris was saying was that Chris was friends with Joe Masterpole and he was friends with Joe Giudice. Again, I'm just assuming it was Joe Masterpole. I didn't say it.
Assuming.
And that they were having, this is back in, like, I don't know, 2009, 2010, 2009 actually, because it was before the bankruptcy. Anyway, he was saying that they were having a problem. Maybe Chris can get them together and have
like
them
a middleman,
like
sort of
have them talk it out with like another mutual friend,
right?
And so like
Mediator.
he talked to a mutual friend who I think would talk to Joe Giudice, and Joe Giudice like, screw him,
right?
And then Chris is like, okay, I'm out of here,
right? And
so Teresa's saying one of those people, talked to the feds about what was going on.
It's so ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
It does explain why. I mean, like, the bankruptcy stuff was out in the open. I mean, Teresa and Joe filed for bankruptcy and didn't list things that had been in the news media. media, like her contract for a cookbook, like
Right.
her Bravo style, like things that were out there. That was completely clear. What was unclear is like, how did the feds know about all this hinky stuff they had going on with their mortgages?
Right.
And it makes sense that, that was their entree
But that
to it.
doesn't mean
That doesn't mean that Jacqueline no, absolutely
right.
not. They were friends then.
Correct.
They were friends
This
then.
is what I don't like. This
And
whole
also-
idea that someone you're friends with, that you're good friends with, would all of a sudden just like betray your trust and do these crazy things. It just, I don't understand. Well, I don't have friends like that, but I just don't understand how a rational person would think, oh yeah, my best friend at the time turned me into the feds. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But also,
why would it make sense for her to come to this conclusion? Clearly, like in the last couple of months. Mm-hmm. Clearly, I mean, like, because if you really thought that Jacqueline was responsible for keeping you apart from your family for a year,
right.
Is there any way would Teresa have ever been civil to her ever?
No.
This would have been like a storyline from the beginning of the season going on.
And a grudge she would have held for the last how many years.
So it is just something that just came up out of nowhere, and I just loved how she said it, like, well, that's how I feel.
Correct.
Because feelings are greater than facts. I said this in my recap. I was very angry. We've seen this in the last election.
Yeah.
That how you feel about something trumps what actually is.
Pun intended.
Okay, what actually is going on.
I completely agree. But we all know that Teresa is quite delusional. I would say in the way that she views things and how she blames everyone else, and she is incapable of being introspective at all. And it's just, I am so happy this season is over. Like, moving on to Real Housewives of Atlanta, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But did you have anything else to say about the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion?
I was wondering whether you think that Siggy is tarnishing her brand at all.
What brand?
Well, she is a relationship expert. She goes on TV shows. She was trying to do it here. And I think we discussed this in the past, actually, that, like, you should know going into a Real Housewives franchise that you're never going to be able to make peace, because that's not what the Real Housewives is about.
The kumbaya is not a thing that happens.
Like, the hug at the end
was ridiculous.
It's like, it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. What's funny about the hug at the end, and I know you only watched this one franchise of Real Housewives, but that's something that Andy's been trying to do, so he would have asked them to do it anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a thing now?
It's a thing. And it's a stupid thing, because I know these people don't like one another. Like, I love when they were in the hug, and Jacqueline turns back to the camera like, what is happening? And I'm like, what is happening?
I thought Dolores had a couple of really good one-liners, and sort of redeemed, not that she had to redeem herself, because she was stuck in like a non-storyline for most of the season.
Correct.
But I think that she's got a lot more fire than we're giving her credit for. And I loved, my favorite thing of, I think, the entire second half of the reading recap is when they're arguing about like who has plastic surgery. Dolores is like, I want to be queen of plastic surgery. That's
I want to have
me.
the most. No, I thought that was cute. And I would say that for season, whatever the next season is, season 8.
Bring back Danielle Staub.
They need to bring back Danielle. They need to bring in someone who doesn't know any of the housewives, which I think adds lots of drama to the other franchises. And they need to get Dolores a storyline that doesn't involve her husband. They need to get Siggy a storyline that doesn't involve her trying to make people come together. And they need to get Melissa a backbone. Done. End of story.
Okay.
Moving on. Real Housewives of Atlanta. I made Vicki watch. She has a whole list of questions for me. I cannot wait. I am the Real Housewives aficionado. I watch every iteration. I even watch Real Housewives of DC, which not a lot of people can say.
Isn't that dead?
Yeah. It was on for one season with the Salahis. Remember they broke into the White House?
I remember.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Okay. I have to say, can I just say at the beginning that I really enjoyed this episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, was it the premiere?
The premiere. I didn't watch the second episode because I watched the first episode in full yesterday. So I
You're
don't know
one behind.
I don't know if I'm going to keep up with it. But I mean, and because one of the main reasons I enjoyed it so much is like, I love HGTV. I love real estate, and it was all about houses. It was like Property Brothers with shade.
Yes.
It was awesome. So much shade.
Shade is the middle name of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Every single sentence was dripping with it.
It should be called Real Housewives of Shady Atlanta.
My God.
Yes.
So, okay, you know that I only watch Real Housewives of New Jersey. They are related. They all know each other. My first question is, would these women actually know and interact with each other if they're not on the show together?
I would say some of them, yes, because Atlanta although a major city, is a very small town for celebrities. So, and this has been on this is probably season 8 of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
My first question is, who are these women?
Okay.
Are they like professional women?
Some
They're
of
all
them.
divorced now, right? Except for one of
Candy.
them.
Candy is married. Candy Burris. She was in the group Escape in the early 90s, and they had a ton of hits.
So these are actually famous people.
Oh, Candy Burris is definitely famous. She wrote No Scrubs, the TLC song.
I know that song. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Ooh, I was worried because Vicki doesn't know any songs, in popular music.
I really don't.
But yeah, she wrote No Scrubs. And so she's married to Todd, who used to work on the show. Like, he worked on Real Housewives. They met.
Really?
Yeah, one
They're
time.
the ones who have the little baby, right?
Who has the little baby Ace. Yes.
And that was the only thing that she was really in this entire episode, right?
For that episode,
because after it was over, I was trying to like put names to faces a little bit more,
right?
And I'm like, was Candy even on there?
No, she's more in the second episode. Okay, and then Kenya Moore is a former Miss USA.
Oh, okay.
She's the one who had the housewarming.
Yes.
Okay. Sheree Whitfield was married to Bob Whitfield, who was a NFL player.
Okay.
So he's now retired. Phaedra Parks is an attorney, a very famous Atlanta entertainment attorney. She represented Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston, and she was actually representing him when they did the Being Bobby Brown show on Bravo, which is how she met Andy Cohen, which is how she ended up on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Portia Williams is the granddaughter of a famous civil rights activist whose name now.
Be so proud.
I know. No, in her first season, she really tried to maintain her family name until it was proven that she's a complete idiot. Like, she didn't know what the Underground Railroad was. Like, she thought it was an actual Underground Railroad. Right.
Like a subway.
I think her grandfather was Hosea. Oh, I can't remember it. Sorry, but he was he was in the Dr. King group. So Hosea Williams, her last name's Williams, and he was in the Dr. King group. She is currently on the Ricky Smiley show. Ricky Smiley is a nationally syndicated African American radio host.
Not Tavis Smiley?
No, Ricky Smiley.
Okay, there's two
There's another Smiley.
Smileys, okay.
Yes. No, Ricky. And
are they related? I'm just curious.
I don't know. Good question. And so she's a host on that show, and she's on Dish Nation, which is a TV show.
You know, I have to say, I really like the fact that these women, I mean, it's like, in my little Real Housewives bubble, I think I can automatically see why this would be more entertaining and more interesting than what we're dealing with, because these women don't really do anything.
The Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Correct. I mean, but they're housewives. Was the original Orange County housewife, they were just housewives too, right?
Yes, except Vicki Gunvalson owns an insurance company, Kodo Insurance. So she actually has a job, or she still has that job.
Not like, it's like a big-time job.
Oh, no, it's a big-time job. It's her business. It's her insurance company. And she insured, that's how she got rich. It's her money.
I am now more intrigued by Real Housewives of Atlanta.
All right.
My major question is, what is up with the boobs?
Oh, the boobs are huge.
Oh my God! Is it like it was?
Huge.
It was like they're pushed and
they've
they're
gotten
up and they're
larger
and they're
over
down
the
and
years.
they're big and they're always right in front of you.
That Kenya Moore outfit with the
what was
crisscross
that?
top with the boobage, I completely agree with you. And even Portia,
the white jumpsuit. And Kenya Moore's like with the thing, like it's like pull it up. Like what was going on with that?
I don't know.
Is that like a
not
theme?
A thing. It's not a theme, but I do think as housewives progress, they start getting the plastic surgery. It just happens with the Atlanta housewives, their plastic surgery of choice is boob implants.
Wow.
But although boobies in Real Housewives of New Jersey,
but it's not the same
as large.
thing.
No,
oh my God.
No. Yeah.
Why is it taking Sheree 5 years to finish her house?
Chateau Sheree?
Yes.
Well, everyone has their money issues. I think that's
is that it?
Yeah.
Because that is why she was throwing so much
you
shade
missed
on
it
Kenya?
No, you missed the episode this week where Kenya is like, oh, that's why Sheree has to put her house in her mother's name to avoid the taxes. And I'm like, oh my God, are we going to have another Real Housewives of New Jersey-esque
IRS
scandal?
Problems. Actually, I think Wendy Williams was talking about that the other day. Somebody sent me a tweet to Wendy Williams talking about the housewives. And she brought up, like, are we going to have another Teresa here?
So
Very interesting.
Andy Cohen was on. We have totally gone off the rails, by the way, on this podcast. Sorry if you don't like the Housewives. But Andy Cohen was on The Breakfast Club on Power 105 in New York and nationally syndicated. And one of the hosts asked him, so tell us about this real estate with the housewives. Like, are they really as wealthy as they seem. And what Andy Cohen said is it depends on the city. So it's very hard to like fake the funk in New York City because everything's expensive, whether you own or you rent. In Atlanta, your money goes a lot farther because things are just cheaper in the South. So you can get a 6-bedroom house and it may only cost you $300,000. So they may not be as rich as they seem. And I think that is possibly what happened with Chateau Sheree.
I mean, I loved watching her. She's like a code enforcement officer. It was so funny.
When she was in Kenya's house.
Oh my God.
She was like, they're missing the baseboard, and you see the bucket catching the water in the bathroom.
I really like that. Now, the other interesting thing about watching a new Housewives franchise is that obviously I've watched Real Housewives for 7 seasons. I know everything about them, and I have notions of like basically the people who lie more are the ones that I like less.
Okay.
Now here I'm watching them fresh, and so I don't really know who's the Teresa, who's the Jacqueline. And so can I tell you who I really found the most appealing?
Please.
Was Phaedra.
Oh, she is.
I love Phaedra. I thought she was awesome.
Phaedra's great.
Would I hate her if I didn't?
No.
If I'd watched the previous 8 seasons?
It's hard to hate Phaedra because she is the queen of shade. She will read you for filth.
What does that mean?
Read you for filth? It's like she'll like tell you off with side comments. I guess that makes sense. And she is really funny. So no, you wouldn't dislike Phaedra. Some people do think Phaedra's a liar. So in the history of Real Housewives of Atlanta, before Phaedra's husband went to prison,
that was Apollo Nita.
And he is in the same prison with Joe.
Yes.
But before he went to prison, when Kenya first arrived on the scene, Kenya flirted heavily with Apollo. And so Kenya and Phaedra did not get along for many seasons. And Kenya even said that Apollo was texting her and was trying to hook up with her, and then that all turned out to be like either a miscommunication or a lie on someone's part. But Phaedra, that's always endeared Phaedra to the viewers, that these two people, her husband and Kenya, were possibly doing something on the side. But no, Phaedra, yes. There's no Jacqueline and there's no Teresa. Maybe Kenya's a little bit of a Teresa, but...
Okay, now, I know that there is this thing called Kim Zolciak.
Yes,
okay,
don't be tardy.
How did she fit into this whole
Well,
thing?
she used to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta.
I know. How did she fit in? Like, I don't know anything about it.
She was friends with Nene, who's not on the show anymore.
Okay.
And she was also friends with Sheree. So original Atlanta was Nene, Sheree, Kim Zolciak, and 2 other people who are no longer on the show. Lisa Wu Hartwell and this other woman.
Wasn't she like sort of she had Don't Be Tardy for the Party.
Don't Be Tardy.
That's her that's a TV show.
Yes, Don't Be Tardy for the Party was the song.
Yes.
Don't be tardy for the party. Oh. I know all the Housewives songs.
How did Kim Fields fit in last season? Why isn't she back?
Oh, I liked Kim Fields, but she didn't have enough drama. She didn't bring it. She was like a Siggy Flicker. Towards the end, though, she didn't get along with Kenya, but toward the end, she sort of got a backbone up, but I think she just felt it wasn't the right fit for her, and that I think the other women agreed. Oh, you know the person we didn't talk about? Cynthia.
Okay, that's the one with all the big hair.
That's the one with
like
the hair who called
hair.
her husband on the phone, and he's like, I haven't heard from you in 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay, Cynthia.
And he's like, I'm here with my girlfriend now.
Wow, that was a joke, allegedly.
Oh, was it?
But Cynthia was a famous African-American model. So they all have real jobs, and they were all like...
I'm happy for them.
Yeah, they're not sitting around their houses. Sorry, New Jersey. Any other burning Atlanta questions?
Why do Sheree and Kenya hate each other so much?
They don't hate each other. It's really bizarre, actually.
They were so mean to each other.
I know, but last year they were friendly, and then they had the bet to see who would finish their house first, and now they're just throwing shade, but not for no good reason. I'm not really sure why they
I have to say that driveway did look janky.
Yeah, it was unfinished.
Well, but she said she finished it.
It was not finished.
It was ridiculous.
Who has a housewarming before their house is done?
Well, that was the other thing that kind of confused me is that like it was literally 2 hours for the housewarming party, and there was still like the house was a mess. Where was all the food?
Mess.
Where was everybody? I didn't understand what was going on.
I didn't understand what was happening either. It was just ridiculous. But I guess they needed a way to open the season, and I'm gonna bet you that they end the season with the housewarming at Sheree's house.
It's gonna be
fabulous. Okay. Her house is really nice.
Her house is almost finished.
Yeah,
actually,
it's almost done. Yeah. It only took 5 years, but you know.
Although I have to say, I like Kenya's house more.
I like the design of Kenya's house, but I want to live in Sheree's house because it just seemed more comfortable, even though it was larger.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we're not going to live in either house, so it doesn't matter. So for all of those of you out there who hate Real Housewives, that is over. We're going to move on now.
To something else we hate, right?
The Affair.
Right? You
Absolutely.
saw the first... Okay, so we watched the first episode of
Season 3 of
Season
The
3,
Affair.
which is available
on YouTube.
On YouTube and to Showtime subscribers,
Yeah.
but it premieres on Sunday night at 10 o'clock, I think.
So I will be honest, I started watching it, and I was like, I cannot... Even though they show you like what happened in previous seasons, I was like,
really
where
hard to
are
remember.
we? I was like,
Okay, can I tell you something I
happened.
totally forgot?
Yeah.
I remembered that Noah's wife had gotten drunk and had hit a guy while she was talking to him while they were driving.
Right.
And Noah took the rap and went off to prison. I had forgotten until I was like reading another story about it that the reason why Scotty had jumped out into the road, that Mauritiner's character,
Because he was trying to rape
yes, he was trying to rape Allison. So Allison knew
yeah.
about it the whole time, which is a really big point that I completely forgotten about the entire time I was watching the first episode of the first season.
Allison knew about which part?
She knew that that they had hit Scotty. I
No,
guess.
she didn't know. She
didn't.
She didn't know it was them.
Okay, but she knew that.
But she knew a car had hit.
Yeah, but she
Scotty.
must have figured it out. I mean, that she
It
pushed
was
him out.
like-
No, she realized at the
she
end.
knew it was her fault.
Yes.
because she pushed him into the
Yes.
roadway. But she
And
didn't know it was them in the car.
But at
I
the
don't
end,
think.
she did
At
because
the
you're on
end, she
trial
did.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it picks up with 3 years later, after Noah gets out of prison. He has a weird scruffy beard. He's now working at Princeton. Is that Princeton?
it must be Princeton, which is ridiculous. I'm sorry, it was ridiculous.
Is
There
it
was a
though?
lot of New Jersey shade being thrown.
There was a lot of Jersey
I have to say.
shade being thrown.
Yeah, they didn't say Princeton, but they said a famous
they
university
made
in New
it
Jersey.
and it was very stately, so I would
Yes.
assume it was Princeton. But they made it seem like Princeton is in the middle of nowhere, like middle of nowhere, New Jersey, with nothing to do and nothing going on. And I'm like, that's not
And
where
it's
it
like
is.
people who teach at, and I mean, just talk to people who teach at your school, French lady.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it was
Annoying
like
French lady.
Annoying French lady who has no problem with Noah Soloway at all, even though he, because he wrote a great book, I guess, and because he looks like Dominic West.
like at least 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years in the past.
And it was just, but he was in prison for doing a hit and run, and she has no problem with. Okay, I guess I feel like we just jumped into it.
It was an accident.
Whatever.
I don't have a problem with.
It was an accident, but it was a hit and run. I think
Correct.
The crime is the running part.
Right.
Okay.
Although he didn't do it either way.
Okay. Can we let's
Don't spoil anything for people.
Oh, that's right.
Because there are some major things that happen. We can't just talk about it. Like,
Well, I wanted to
spoil
go
it.
back to the first season and talk about like what the show started off as and why I found it compelling in the beginning. So, two people who are both married fall in love and have an affair and wreaks havoc on everybody's lives. And the twist is that you see from every episode things from his perspective and things from her perspective.
Right.
In the second season, when Noah and Allison are now living together, this whole
And married, no?
married
Yeah.
and she's pregnant and has a baby.
Right.
The whole mystery that the first season was framed around, which is that they were both being
The unnecessary mystery.
was who killed Scotty, who is Allison's
Husband's
brother-in-law.
brother, yes.
Yeah. And so the second season brought in two more perspectives of, God, I can't remember their names
Joshua
now.
Jackson's
Joshua
character.
Jackson and Maura Tierney's character.
Correct.
Which kind of muddled things up a little bit. It was still interesting, but then it got way too murder.
The problem with the
plot.
affair is that we don't need the murder plot. I don't care who killed Scotty. I really, really don't. Also, Scotty is Allison's baby's father.
I mean,
But
it started off
care.
as a framing device, and I think and quite frankly, if they'd ended it at the end of the first season, which we argue for a lot here, and
Yeah,
like it just
it
be
would
so
have been
self-contained,
better.
it would have been great. Then do another infidelity story. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are millions of infidelity stories.
So we're not going to spoil anything about this, and we're not going to continue talking about it because I feel like a spoiler could slip out. But my overall impression,
I have to say, I want to
What?
say one more thing about the
What?
third season, about the twist, is that the first episode is totally from Noah's point of view. And so
Yes.
there is no person there to, say, well, actually, it wasn't like that. It wasn't
no,
like
but
that.
in the first season, it was by episode, the points of view.
My issue is that as a one episode, you only see Noah's point of view,
Yeah.
and then it's like they're bringing in a fifth point of view.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
Who?
I don't know who it is.
We don't know who it is.
But they're bringing in a fifth point of view.
It better not be the French lady.
It's like when they're not in close proximity, I really think it lessens the impact. And so you get another episode all from Noah's point of view, and Noah, who has...
He's the worst. He is one of the least likable characters.
It's a bad way to start the season because you have this incredibly unsympathetic character doing incredibly unsympathetic things.
Right.
I thought it was a very bad way to start the season.
The show is not good.
No.
I mean, let's be honest. It's not a good show. I don't even know why we still watch it. It wasn't good last season. It was decent the first season.
It was good the first season. It got bad the second season, and
now it's continuing on the same path of being bad. And the twist I thought was stupid. So you guys watch it and let us know what you think. Tweet us at Remote Podcast, at E_meds, at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY, and we'll talk about it again next week after it premieres, and we can talk about the twist in more detail. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know. I don't think I'm paying for HBO to watch this. I will pay.
Showtime.
Showtime. I already pay for HBO. I will pay for Showtime to watch Homeland, and then I'll just catch up on The Affair when that happens. All right. So finally, we're gonna delve into the mystery or the twist revealed in last week's Westworld. Mm-hmm. So we finally get to the part where. We kind of know what's been going on in secret in the Westworld universe, where we find out that, spoiler alert, Bernard is a host.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which I knew for 3 weeks.
I know. Vicky said it. I didn't want to believe her.
Well, I didn't say it. I was saying there are many theories out there, and I mentioned that one. I think when I mentioned that theory, it hadn't been confirmed in what I had seen yet, but then it was very quickly confirmed.
We find out that Ford's been making hosts in his family home basement.
Yes,
basically. And one of those hosts, and we saw blueprints. So Bernard takes, what's the lady's name? The Welsh
Teresa.
lady. She's Welsh, right?
No, she's Danish.
Damn it! I was close. Takes Teresa to show her something he's uncovered. And they go to the secret laboratory and they see that Ford has a machine and he's making a host, and it's an older technology, so it takes longer. And then they find blueprints for the host, and there's one for Dolores, and they're like, "Oh my God, this makes sense." And then there's another one, and it looks exactly like Bernard. And Bernard's like, "I don't see it." And Teresa's like, "What? Huh? How do you not see this?"
It doesn't look like anything to me, which is a phrase that all the hosts use when they are confronted with something that in their world would not make any sense,
Correct.
Which is usually the Western people seeing modern technology. But this is Bernard.
Right. Yeah. Bernard, who has a backstory with a family and a dead son.
That Ford keeps on mentioning.
Right. And so Ford comes out from the shadows and tells Teresa that Bernard was his creation and he's been loyal to him for a long time, and Teresa just doesn't understand it, and she's like, "Well, he brought me here," which I thought was dumb.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, clearly Ford brought you here, but all right, whatever. She says, "He brought me here," and then Ford's like, "No, I told him to bring you here." And then you know the inevitable, where Ford's like, "Look, I'm not going to let you take me down. The board's not going to find out anything." And then Bernard takes off his jacket, rolls up his sleeves, and
smashes her head
into the wall. Mm. Poor Teresa. Well, we didn't really like her anyway.
She was, I was a little confused about her motivations, and I think she was very torn. And there was one scene which I absolutely despised in this episode.
Okay.
Where she is brought to Charlotte, who is the executive director of the board. Mm-hmm. She's brought to Charlotte's office.
Who's like 12 years old.
Who's like, seriously, she's like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And first of all, can I say the doors must not be very thick in this very fancy hotel, because Teresa can clearly hear Charlotte going at it with some guy.
No, with the host.
Teresa doesn't know that at this point.
Yeah.
On the other side of the door, and then she knocks on the door because she has to see, Charlotte. And Charlotte opens the door naked.
Right, just naked.
With Hector, Rodrigo Santoro, tied up in the bed.
Right.
And she's been clearly enjoying the fringe benefits of being on the board.
Right.
And then she proceeds to, while she's pretty much naked, chowing down, legs akimbo, lying down.
Chowing down?
Yeah, you didn't see that? She's sits there, because she worked up an appetite. She sits there and she's eating something.
Got it.
It was just
I thought we were going in a completely
have business and social mores changed so much that somebody would do it, because other than that, it seems to be pretty business-like, underground in Westworld. So it was just very what is going on here? And I think I was trying to think, is it because she's a woman? Is it because she's a black woman? Or is it because she's 12 years old? I decided it's because this whole thing really annoys me because she's
Vicky.
like 12 years old. But she's not. She's like
I love that
28. This is what bothers me.
Vicky is so worked up, and I'm still like 20 sentences ago on chowing down. I was very confused.
Okay.
All right, but okay, so I will.
So Teresa's like she's been thrown for a loop this episode.
Yes.
We're not really sure what role she plays, but she was told
plays
to
no
do
role
something.
now. 'Cause
I know.
she's dead.
Well, she's dead, or is she going to be? Is she going to be replaced by a host? Is she going to be replaced by the host that they were creating in the next room? Who knows?
You never know. Well, my question was who's going to clean up the body. They just left the room, and I'm like, who's coming back to take it
Bernard
away?
would do it, but
right? I thought Bernard would do it too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the question that this, of course, raises is if Bernard is a host.
With memories.
Are there other people working in the underground laboratory? Well, there are other people working in underground laboratories who are hosts, because we saw the part where Charlotte and Teresa sets up the demonstration to show how unstable these hosts are, and Clementine has the memories and beats the other
security guard
who turns out is a host. Because he gets his head smashed against the wall. Like he also gets frozen, so we find out before that happens he's also. So there are hosts who are working in so it's not really that much of a surprise. So it's like it raises the question, okay, well, are Felix and Sylvester hosts and they don't realize it yet? Which could be very intriguing. Like, has Anthony Hopkins just staffed the entire
place
Westworld? Because it kind of makes sense.
Right.
Cheap. It worked for Bernard, and he's really doing high-level stuff, so why not just people who are fixing things?
Right. Bernard was talking to Dolores. Like, they were having one-on-one conversations where it seemed he was asking her very probing questions, but now you have to think back to that, and was that just Ford feeding Bernard the questions to ask Dolores?
Or he managed to create a host that was so... evolved.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to my theory, which I still have not heard a lot about.
What?
Which is that... Was Arnold a host? Did Robert Ford create Arnold and create such an advanced version of artificial intelligence that Arnold realizes what Ford is doing? Because Ford says, they're all perfectly free under my control.
Right.
And maybe Arnold does not like that idea of these beings of which he is one being under anybody's control, and maybe staged a riot, a revolution, and then Ford, killed him, did whatever.
Right. Well, who do we think kidnapped Elsie? Elise? What's her name? Elsie. Look, I got it right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because we didn't see her this episode.
I was guessing it was Stubbs, who was the Hemsworth brother.
Who I Googled because I was like...
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
The oldest Hemsworth brother.
Luke Hemsworth, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Peabody Hemsworth.
Other Hemsworth. One that doesn't look like a Hemsworth.
We don't know who she got kidnapped by, and she wasn't in this episode at all. She suddenly went on vacation.
I know, exactly. This was episode 7. Mm-hmm. So we have 8, 9, and 10 to go.
Which I haven't seen.
And we already know, like I said earlier in the show, it was picked up for season 2, but we may not see it until 2018. What the F?
Well, I would rather them get it right than get it wrong.
But it is a long ways away. It's the same issue that I have with shows like Homeland. We haven't seen Homeland since 2015.
20 what?
15.
15. Okay.
And it's premiering I think it's premiering in January, so that's a whole year. Same goes with Game of Thrones. They always do a
Mad
year.
Men also
Mad
had
Men
like a very
that.
long gap. But these are great shows. So you can't argue with quality.
I guess.
I'm okay with it. And they supposedly have like 5 seasons mapped out. I'm into it. I still think that it's getting a little thrillery as opposed to sort of like, pure sci-fi artificial intelligence-y. Mm-hmm. But I like thrillers.
I like the show a lot.
I thought it was like a good balance in the beginning, and now it seems to be veering more off into the thriller territory.
Well, we haven't seen actual Westworld like with cops and robbers, or
since
cops
last
and robbers,
episode.
Cowboys and Indians. I don't know.
There are Indian. There are Native
I know,
Americans.
but that's right? Okay, we haven't seen that since the last episode, so I'm just curious to see where it all goes, and I think I'm going to go back and watch from the beginning to see if I can pick up more things. And we still need them to confirm the double timeline.
Yes.
But
although I think
now it's pretty clear.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
The one thing, another question is like, if Jeffrey Wright has been working there forever, like, has anybody noticed he hasn't aged at all?
Well, I feel like those people come in and out, so they wouldn't know.
Okay.
And how much older do you really look over time, over like a 10-year period, if people have been there
I was
for
just
10
looking
years?
at my driver's license.
Well, Always a beauty in our eye, Vicki.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of Remote Possibilities. We will be back. We're going to talk about the twist in the affair. We'll talk a little more about Westworld. We have to talk about The Walking Dead and how this season is going thus far. It's my first season watching it in real time. I have a lot to say. It sounds like Vicki does too.
I have to actually finish watching the Sunday night's episode,
wow.
But I can watch it, and I can watch the next one in regular time because I am not watching
No Real Housewives of New Jersey.
No lost footage. Thank you.
I know, only 2 reunion episodes, no lost footage. We're heading into episode 3 of the Real Housewives of OC reunion this week. So,
oh my God, really?
Yeah, but it's been good. It's been good. So we will talk to you guys next time. Follow us on Twitter @RemotePodcast.